Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow from SG TCG, bringing you guys the last round of TGS in Tinley Park. So this round, I was facing a Lucci, still using the Black Yellow Luffy deck. At this point, I was 2-0, so they opened up first. They opened up with a Spandom search, um, and grabbed the Tempest kick off of the search, and then they passed it over to me. I open up. I don't believe I do anything. Yes, I believe I just passed the turn over to him. I could have Machinoed, but I wasn't sure how aggressive he was gonna go. Usually you want to starve it, but I was gonna wait and see until I have better options. So pass to him. He uses one of the Don to use Tempest Kick to draw, to get different options. I was afraid he was gonna open up a stage, but he just passed over to me, didn't swing. Again, Black Yellow Luffy you don't really want to go too aggro with. So it's my 4 Don turn. I'm gonna open up with 5 at life. Start putting some type of pressure on him. More than likely, he's gonna take it to give himself some more options, but he ends up countering with a Kaku. He already grabbed the top life. It was a Sabo, and then I'm gonna play out the Luffy. Or I'm gonna put the Luffy in the top of life, and then play out the little Luffy, and you know, play it out. Get a 2,000 buff off leader. I could have did it the other way around, so I could have swung for 7 instead of 5. But that was a little misplay on my part. But leader is buffed for 7, so more than likely he won't swing at me this turn, or he will just to do leader ability, but I won't end up taking life. So I gotta do what I can to protect this Luffy, since this is the Luffy that is gonna trash a life and get me a card in hand. So giving me more options and helping me find into that Moria while getting me down to 0 life. So he swings 5 at my leader. I'm a 7K, so I don't have to counter anything. I almost did because I forgot that I had the buff, but he really he reminded me. But he only did this to cycle and get some more cards in the trash. So when he does his later plays, he could grab his Moria to like a Rebecca or a Lucci or something. Lucci plays. So here he taps 5 and plays a Sabo out. So you could filter out his hand, which is perfect. He didn't have any type of removal for my Luffy, which sticks. So now I'm able to hard play the Sabo this upcoming turn. So he ends up pitching Stussy, almost chucks stage as well, but he ends up keeping it. Which now I know he's got a stage in hand for this upcoming turn. He's thinking for a while for his second card that he's gonna chuck, but it's also kind of tricky because you want to keep what you can for this matchup. But once the Sabos start coming out, it's a little rough for Lucci. So he ends up chucking the Khalifa 2K. So I start my turn. I end up drawing a Three Brothers Bond. I'm on 6 Don. I tap 1 for the Three Brothers Bond to search. I should have did the Sabo first, and I would have been able to draw into at least one of those Moria, which would have been amazing. But I end up keeping the Sabo that was in that top search. Oh no. I grabbed the Luffy so I could pop some bodies off board for his Rebecca's or Lucci's. I wasn't sure if I had that second Sabo, but now I tap the 5 for the Sabo and cycle out a little bit better. So I'm going to chuck the Thunderbolt. Don't really need it. And the Three Brothers Bond because I want to keep the other cards for counter. And I do Luffy ability to draw into another Garp. So now that Luffy's in 8K, I swing 5 with leader. I believe he takes this one. I would have took this one to give me some more options. Yep, there he goes. No trigger. I swing 8 this time. And he takes this one and he triggers stage, I believe. Yep. He got his stage card off his second life, which is the best thing for Lucci if you don't see it. Although we already know he's got one in hand, so now he's got one card with no counter that's unplayable, which he could cycle out with another Sabo play if he does do one. So after the 8K Luffy swing, I pass the turn to him. I believe at this point he is at 7 Don. 7? Yeah, 7 Don. So attaches 3 to his Luffy or his Lucci leader, swings 8 at my Luffy. I'm gonna counter out with my Space Luffy. I don't need that at this very moment. Nothing is playing out. I could pop. And then he hard plays Rebecca, which now the Space Luffy would have been good. But I want to keep that 5 cost Luffy that's swinging for 8 on board longer. So with having stage and his leader ability, he could have easily popped it if I didn't have the Sabo protection. So I didn't see. I forgot what he grabbed. I think he grabbed the Khalifa 2K. But he hard plays the Sabo from hand and searches. And he's only got 2 targets. It's either the Spandine or the Stussy that he could grab off the Spandam ability. Grabs the Spandine, which is honestly... Oh no, he grabs the Stussy. Spandine would have been cool. You could have played the Spandine and did some type of play with that while going a little wide. But you do want it in the trash for a Moria play. So passes it to me. I'm at 8 Dawn. I do the Luffy ability to trash the top life and draw 1. I end up trashing a Makino. I gain a Hiyori, so I still get a 2K. I'm gonna hard play the Sabo, but I'm also gonna search with the Garp, I believe, to see if I could find anything else. Let's see what I do here. So I'm gonna tap 2. Oh, I do a Hiyori play. Put the Sabo. Oh, I do got the little Sabo in hand, so I do hard play it, get my leader up to 7K this turn, which works out a lot better. Still do the same strat instead of hard playing. I save myself a Dawn and buff my leader up. So here I chuck the 2 Kuzans. Oh, I chuck a Thunderbolt and a Kuzan, but I think the Kuzan goes in a different pitch. And now I have a Moria for my next turn. And I'm swinging 9 at lead. Oh no, now I do leader ability. So I chuck the Kuzan and I'm gonna stick the 1/5 cost Luffy since our black yellow Luffy leader is up 2/2, so I am able to just put 1/5 cost card into life. And then I play the little Luffy over the Hiyori and send it out to play the Luffy, and it's gonna pop the Rebecca since the Sabo was played the turn prior, so Rebecca is vulnerable to the Luffy ability, and I draw into a 2K, which works. So now I'm a 9K, swing 8 with the Luffy to life, and then I'm gonna swing 11 to life with my leader. So he asked if I have any Dawn to anticipate what other attacks I can do. I don't bother swinging at Spandam. It's no point. It's not gonna do anything to me next turn since I am a 9K leader. So he takes that hit, and then I swing with 11. I believe he blocks with the Sabo. I go aggro with my Sabo, so he chucks a counter for that Kaku 2K. Now I swing 11, and I believe he blocks with his Sabo. Checking his trash to see what he's got for his next turn play. I believe next turn he does play out the Moria. So he takes the big leader swing instead of blocking with Sabo. And I'm checking my trash to see what I have. I only have 1 5 cost. I passed the turn. Next turn I'll be at 10 Don, so I am set up for a Moria play. I have 1 blocker on the field that he cannot pop. So even if he tried to swing out with his leader, I have a blocker on the field with 5k encounter in hand. He was checking to see if I had a Sabo in the trash to see if I wouldn't be able to play out a third one next turn. But I only have the 1 5 cost Luffy. So this turn I need to get rid of the Sabo. And he ends up swinging at the rested Sabo so he could get his leader ability off. I do let the Sabo go. There's no point in keeping it. And again, it's going to come back on the field next turn with the Moria play. So then he taps 8 and he plays a Moria. Grabs Rebecca. And I forget what else he grabs, but here's the main play of Lucci though. Moria to Rebecca, and he grabs a Spandam so you can search top 3. He'd either grab another 2k from the Spandam search, or he's able to fill it up with other stuff. But he ends up almost whiffing the Spandam search. He only is able to grab the 5 cost Kaku, where on play, you return 2 CP cards to the trash and you pop a 3 cost card. So again, at this point, that card is useless. It's just a counter since I have been able to play the Sabos continuously every turn. But off the Rebecca ability, he ends up grabbing the Spandine and playing the Spandine from hand. So he puts 3 CP cards from his trash to the bottom of his deck. And I believe he plays out a Lucci over Oh no, he plays Khalifa over Spandine, so you can cycle his hand out, which again shows that he doesn't have many options at this point. So he chucks a stage, and I believe it was an Isho that he chucked also. So he's pretty bricked at this point. Yep. So he passes turn, 10 Don. We all know the main play that's gonna happen right now. I'm gonna attach the 2 Don to leader. But before I do that, I do Luffy ability to get him up to 8k. I don't want to trash any of the life cards I do put into life. So attach the 2 to Luffy. I end up doing Luffy ability. I chuck the 3 Brothers Bond search card because it has no counter. I play out the Sabo and the Luffy. With the Luffy being on top, does not matter since it's going to trash itself anyway to draw a card. So now here comes the main man himself, Thickness, Gecko Moria. Luffy hits the field and Sabo hits the field from trash, playing over the Hiyori. That glare is kind of nasty. But Luffy goes first, reveals the Luffy, buffs my leader up to 7k, and I pop it and draw. I pop the Rebecca that he had, and then I reveal the Sabo, draw 2 and cycle out. I draw into another space Luffy. I believe I chucked the Garp and one of the the Garp and the 5 cost. Or no, 1 Luffy and a 5 cost, because then I could search into something else with the Garp, potentially another little brother. So I swing 8 at life. And he counters out for 4k. And then now I swing 11 at life. Now he's got to decide if he wants to dump cards out of hand or give me the Sabo blocker at this point. Opponent asked how many cards I have in hand, so you figure out how he could swing out the next turn. Again, sometimes Luffy, you either have 2Ks or you have nothing. I've had games where I've had nothing but, my Searchers, Kuzans, or like a Thunderbolt, and I have no counter, or just a bunch of 1Ks and not the 2Ks. So he ends up taking the life. I think he was trying to swing out this turn. It's pretty much he's got to get it down this turn or nothing. So he swings 10 at my leader. I counter out for 2K, get myself up to 11. And now that's his biggest swing off his side of the field. Now, if he wants to even swing at my leader with his leader, he has to attach Ford on, which, you know, now leaves him to have minimal plays this turn. So if he's got another Moria play, that's all he could do. Which, if he Morias, he could just grab another Rebecca and have a blocker for turn. But I do have the little Luffy in hand. I could do leader ability and grab the Luffy from the trash and pop his board. So I'm not too worried about it. So he swings 8 at the Luffy on the 8K Luffy. And he's got 6 Dawn left, so he's trying to minimize the amount of swings I get next turn. Counter out with a 2K because I wanted to keep the Garp so I could search for another brother that I could play from the trash. And he ends up using his 6-cost Brook to trash my Luffy. So he does get around the Sabo protection since trashing does not signify a KO. So that's the only loophole around the Sabo, immunity for the turn. So I do Garp search. Honestly, I should have just, instead of doing this, I should have just swung. I don't think I have any other targets except for Luffy's in the trash. I never saw an ace this game. I only run it at a 2. So it's very unlikely for me to see ace. I mean, I know the other games I did see it a lot, but I end up grabbing the Sabo. Again, at this point, it's just going to be in the hand because I have to go for game. I was not going to survive next turn if I didn't. He's got 6 in hand, so I attach 2 Dawn to my leader, and I contemplate on doing leader ability to get myself 2 life. But after I reevaluate it, I realize it is not worth it since I will not survive the next turn. So I started counting the Dawn to see what the best way to attack would have been. And realistically, it should have been 9 across the board, 9 with the Gecko, attach 4 to leader, and then 3/3 with the Sabos. But I swing with the Gecko, and then I attach 1 extra Dawn to leader, and I swing with that. And it goes through, and he just declares game after that. So that's game. If you guys like the content, make sure you guys leave a like, comment down below what you guys thought of the game, and subscribe, and catch you on the next one.